In this month's GYDA Member Hub interview, Robert interviews Jason Swenk. Jason has literally written the book for growing an agency from nothing to an 8-figure agency. He is now the agency advisor and mentor that guides marketing agencies through a proven framework for growing their agency faster. Jason and Robert discuss the characteristics of agencies who are struggling or thriving during the COVID-19 outbreak, growing a successful agency, snake oil salesman, and self-sabotaging, plus much more. This really is the interview that all digital agency owners need to watch.
And hello and welcome to the GYDA Initiative podcast. And today it is my eminent pleasure to have all the way from the United States, the wonderful Jason Swenk. Jason kind of needs no introduction. If he does need introduction to you, then it's a bit like, oh, that's odd. So where have you been all the time? So Jason does what I do, but he does it over there and I do it over here. And we've been having some absolutely amazing conversations the last few weeks. Hello, Jason.
Hey, Robert. Thanks for having me on the show.
So for the one or two people who may not know the thing that is Jason Swenk, just give us a quick sort of couple of sentence introduction to who you are.
Well, there's probably a lot more than one or two, but I worked for Arthur Andersen right out of school, and I was an accidental agency owner. I designed a website making fun of my friends that looked like Justin Timberlake. And I created a fake band, fake website called In Shit. It got popular. Someone asked me to design a website. I charged them $500 over and over and over and over again. And so I was an accidental agency owner and did that for 12 years, grew it up to an 8-figure agency, sold it. And then, like any entrepreneur, we thought we were going to retire, got bored, got depressed, had to do something, created an iPhone app. That sucked. Old competitors reached out, were like, how do you do this? So I was like, let me create a resource I wish I had when I was running my agency. And that's what I do now. That quick enough?
That's absolutely great. So this is being recorded mid-May 2020. Lockdowns are vaguely being released or not being released. It's a night. I mean, it's a nightmare out there. I mean, what are you seeing with the agencies you work with? What are you seeing them seeing? How are you seeing them respond to what's going on?
Well, the ones that are not tone deaf are doing really well, right? And I would say about 75% of agencies are doing even better than when it started 3 months ago, because a lot of businesses, conferences, hospitality, restaurants, they can't reach their audience. And so with digital marketing and the digital agencies, they can fill that gap in. And so some of the biggest challenges right now for agencies are finding the right people. Or picking the right people, because a lot of people are unfortunately getting laid off. And then the other 25% that we're actually going after, the markets that were closed, or they may have just been riding the coattails of an amazing market for a couple of years. Yeah. They're suffering, and they really need to get that clarity of what they want to create, who they want to go after, and then they can really kind of change the course.
So let's just divide those out into two. I mean, I agree entirely. There's people who are kind of organized and sorted, kind of, even if they didn't see it coming, they move very, very quickly. And there's a whole bunch who are saying, well, when it's back to normal, when it's back to like it was last year. So is it possible to separate out the behavior of the two? Is it possible to say the ones who are struggling have this set of characteristics, the ones who are doing well have this set of characteristics? And if so, what do you reckon the difference is?
Yeah. So the reason why I also told you my origin story in the very beginning, remember I said I was an accidental agency owner. And so many people they take a long time to get clarity for where they actually want to go. And they're just reacting to the market. And when you react to the market, well, you're going to go with the market, right? So when the market's riding really good, you're probably going to be doing well. But when it goes bad, you're going to struggle because you don't know what to focus on. And so the agencies that are doing really well, they had complete focus, complete clarity, and they knew how to adjust very quickly, right? So that was the biggest difference. And it took me, like, when I created my agency, it probably took me 6 years to figure out the clarity. I was just reacting. I was like, oh, cool. Like $500,000, $10,000 websites, cool. And then when I got clarity, I was like, I could charge $100,000 engagements. I could get $1 million contracts. Right.
Hang on a second, Jason, because you've just done this thing that people often do where they go, so we were really, really poor, and then 5 years later we were really, really successful. And you've kind of missed out. You've missed out the bits in the middle, and the bits that our audience want are that. Okay, it's all right for you to say that, Jason. Yeah, I sold your agency, but what do I need to do? So, and they gain clarity. Okay, so how do you reckon they do that? Is there a book that says 10 ways to get clarity?
No, it's really pretty easy, but it takes a long time to do. I'll tell you a quick exercise that happened to me. So about 6 or 7 years in, we were a multi-million-dollar agency, and I hated it. Literally, I wanted to quit. And my wife was feeling the same thing. She told me, go quit and take a job, which is the ultimate failure, right? Like, you're like, oh my God. And so I went to go interview with a small company called NASCAR for the CMO. And they asked me, they go, what do you want to do every day? And what don't you never want to do again? And I thought about it. I couldn't answer it there, right? So I went home and I got a sheet of paper and I started writing it out. And what I did is I drew a circle on a sheet of paper about the size of my fist. And I started with thinking, what is the stuff I never want to do ever again? And writing out on the outside of that circle. And then once I did that for a couple hours, then I thought about, well, what's left? What do I love doing, right? Because at the end of the day, people don't care about growing their agency. They want to create freedom in their agency to pick and choose to do what they want to do, be able to, live the lifestyle that they want. That's the ultimate goal that they want. It's not to sell it and have tons of money. It's the freedom. Because if you sell it, you have to work for someone else for a little while and you could go crazy. And so if you do this with this sheet of paper, now it takes some time to figure all this out. But once you do it, then you can say on everything outside that circle, you were like, can I say no to it? Can I delegate? Can I set up a system for it? Can I fire these clients that are complete nightmares?
That's not what happens, Jason. Because what happens, you do that, don't get me wrong, you do that, cool, fantastic. But if you're a 5 or 10 person agency, who's going to do it? And when is it going to happen? So all the good stuff, and you and I have seen it with clients. They write a list of 50 things they're going to do, and you get to the end of the session, you say, "What's the one thing you're going to do?" And they say, "No. I've got this list of 50 things I'm going to do." And you and I know that they're not going to do it. And even if they do that, the next time they meet whatever it is or whatever book, whatever it is, they're going to write 50 things they need to do. And that's really, bonkers, So what you need to if you come away from a meeting or a consultancy session with just the one thing you're going to do. So my challenge or my pushback is, and in some senses, all I'm doing is saying, if I was a client of Robert Craven's and I was told to do that, it sounds fine, it sounds great, but revamping the website, I'm going to have to do that at the weekend. Thinking about changing the proposition, I'm going to have to do that at the weekend. Finding a VA, I'm going to have to do that at the weekend because I've got clients and I've got 1 or 2 staff. I don't know how I got the staff, but and since I've got staff, I'm not making any money and they're not doing the right things and I'm not doing any work. And they're in this, they're like rats in a trapped, not able to get out of it. Yeah. So do you think they just have to get so low that they go, it's kind of like shit or bust, to be blunt about it?
Well, what you're doing is you have to figure out the stuff you need to get rid of. So you know who to hire, how to delegate. And the way you can prioritize, which, a lot of people get overwhelmed. And I'm not talking about tactics here. I'm talking about where do you want to grow within the agency, right? And I think this was Stephen Covey, I can't remember. Think about, you have 2 jars. And most of the time, when you have a ton of stuff to do, you're going to do the little stuff first. So you're going to put all these little pebbles into this mason jar, and it's going to fill it up about 75% of the way. And then the big item that had the biggest impact won't fit in the mason jar. Now, if you take that big item first, put it in the other mason jar first, then the pebbles it's going to surround it, meaning you're going to be able to do it. So when I was doing this, I realized the 5 roles I needed to have or to be the CEO rather than the owner. And here they are. Set the vision for the agency and communicate it to the everyone in the organization all the time. If you do this, then you're not going to be the toll booth owner where everything flows through you, right? Think of a toll booth. You need to open up lanes. But the reason why everybody's coming to you is because they don't know how to make a decision. So you have to set the vision. Where are we going, right? And that's why that sheet of paper is so important. And then once you communicate that, now they can go and do stuff. Like an analogy would be, let's say we're in New York Harbor and we want to come to London. We want to come see Robert, right? And I have my whole team with me, but I don't tell them where we're going. They don't know. Or I tell them we're going to go see Robert, but they don't know who Robert is. They don't know where we're going. And I say, anytime the boat changes course, wake me up, I'll fix it. So every damn minute, I have to get up, change the damn course. And then I go back to sleep. Like, it's just a nightmare. But if I just told them where I was going, then I give the power for them to make a decision what's best for the agency rather than what's best for them. That's the first rule.